At 6:10 a.m. on December 5, 2025, a $650 million Russian LNG export terminal didn't explode the way most people imagine explosions. It didn't collapse. It didn't burn slowly. It vanished. Steel, concrete, pipelines, fire systems, and fuel infrastructure simply ceased to exist as functioning matter. While Moscow focused its attention on chaos elsewhere, Ukraine executed a coordinated multi-domain strike that rewrote how maritime warfare works, using 6 unmanned boats to deploy a 30-weapon air force, defeat layered Russian defenses, and erase one of the Kremlin's most valuable energy assets in just over 2 minutes. What follows is exactly how it happened. At 6:10 a.m. in December 2025, in Temryuk, Russia, an LNG export terminal on the Sea of Azov suffered catastrophic destruction. Approximately $650 million in gas infrastructure, steel loading arms, pier supports, electrical systems, and storage assets were destroyed or rendered irreparable. The fireball reached approximately 5 meters in height initially, and later escalated into a thermal event visible from Crimea. This was not the result of sabotage teams, cruise missiles, or a naval task force. It was the result of unmanned systems, deployed covertly, layered deliberately, and executed with precision timing. Several hours earlier, at approximately 4:20 a.m., the Sea of Azov was fully dark. Visibility was minimal. Russian radar coverage around Temryuk was active but degraded. 48 hours earlier, a Ukrainian F-16 strike had disrupted rail infrastructure feeding the region. That strike did more than sever logistics. It disrupted Russian command and control priorities. Air defense assets, including S-400 batteries, were focused almost entirely on detecting follow-on air threats. The expectation was another aerial strike, not a maritime infiltration. At that moment, a single vessel appeared on Russian radar, the Star of Monrovia, a 15,000-ton cargo ship flagged under Liberia, transiting at approximately 12 knots. Its declared cargo was winter wheat, bound for Turkey. On radar, it was unremarkable. Radar by design reports position and velocity, not intent. Russian underwater sensor nets near the Kerch Bridge had already been degraded. Patrol boats were redeployed toward the bridge area, responding to earlier alerts. Russian attention was fixed on the front door. What followed came from the back. At approximately 4:25 a.m., the Star of Monrovia maneuvered to within roughly 22 meters of its release point. Cargo doors located just above the waterline opened. Gravity did the rest. 6 unmanned surface vessels, Mura 5-5 platforms, entered the water. These were not standard one-way attack drones. Each was a modular mothership. Mounted on each deck was a custom flight platform carrying 4 FPV quadcopters, their rotors folded, locked in place, and armed with shaped charges capable of defeating armored steel. In addition to the 6 primary surface warheads, the configuration produced a total of 30 separate munitions. Each Mura carried a fiber-optic communications spool fixed to the stern, approximately 7.5 miles of glass fiber thinner than a human hair. This link transmitted real-time video directly to Ukrainian operators in Odessa. Russian electronic warfare systems, including Murmansk BN jammers, were active across the radio spectrum. The fiber-optic link rendered them irrelevant. Radio frequency jamming cannot affect a physical optical cable. For nearly an hour, the 6 Mura vessels transited at approximately 20 knots. The fiber link remained stable. Live video streamed continuously. At roughly 12 miles from shore, the fiber spools reached depletion. As designed, the Mura platforms automatically transitioned to a secondary communications mode, a localized, encrypted mesh radio network. This change altered the tactical environment immediately. Unlike fiber, radio emissions can be detected passively. On board the Russian patrol ship Sergei Kotov, passive electronic sensors registered high-frequency anomalies. Multiple contacts bearing approximately 270 degrees were detected. The electronic warfare officer triggered the alarm. The element of surprise ended. The Sergei Kotov and a second Project 22,160 patrol vessel maneuvered aggressively, swinging their bows toward the threat. AK-630 rotary cannons spun up, capable of firing 5,000 rounds per minute of 30mm ammunition. In Odessa, Ukrainian operators observed the response in real time. With detection confirmed, the decision was made to launch the airborne component. 24 FPV drones ignited almost simultaneously from the decks of the Mura vessels. Magnetic locks released. One by one, the quadcopters lifted into the night, producing the distinctive high-pitched acoustic signature common to small electric rotors. For Russian sailors on deck, the visual was unprecedented. Instead of sea drones closing on the hull, the sea itself appeared to generate an air assault. The first wave of 8 FPV drones leveled at approximately 200 feet altitude, accelerating to roughly 90 miles per hour. Their targets were not the hulls, but the sensors, radar arrays, and fire control directors. The Sergei Kotov engaged immediately. Tracer fire filled the sky. The lead FPV was destroyed instantly. A second was shredded midair by fragments. 2 drones were lost with no damage inflicted. The Russian captain maintained disciplined ship handling, keeping the bow oriented toward the threat to maximize radar coverage and gun arcs. Tactically, it was sound. But swarm warfare does not require perfection. It requires volume. As the Kotov focused forward, FPV drones 3 and 4 executed a low-altitude maneuver, descending to approximately 10 feet above the waterline, below the radar depression angle. They approached undetected. FPV-3 impacted the bridge wing. The shaped charge penetrated the steel plating, disabling the fire control director. The ship did not sink, but the AK-630 fell silent. The vessel was effectively blinded. FPV-4 exploited the opening and targeted the Panzer air defense module mounted aft. The drone penetrated the missile tubes. The secondary explosion destroyed approximately $15 million in air defense hardware. Of the 8 drones in the first wave, only 3 survived. 5 were destroyed. But the patrol ship was burning, drifting, and blind. A warning transmission reached shore, and at the Russian LNG facility, personnel shifted immediately to a defensive posture. 3 Zu-23-2 anti-aircraft guns mounted on trucks were brought online. Infantry armed with AK-74 rifles repositioned across the facility. The second wave of 8 FPV drones crossed the coastline at speed. Their mission was suppression, specifically targeting foam pumping stations and specialized fire response vehicles. LNG fires cannot be controlled without foam. Russian defenses were prepared. As the drones crossed the breakwater, Zu-23S opened fire. 23mm high-explosive shells created a dense fragmentation zone. 1 Ukrainian FPV lost video feed instantly and impacted concrete. Another was destabilized by turbulent airflow generated by the massive LNG storage tanks, striking a steel railing. 2 drones down. 2 additional FPVs attempted a coordinated low-level strike on the main water pump house. Russian defenders employed shotguns, a low-tech but effective countermeasure. Buckshot shredded both drones mid-air with 4 drones lost. 3 remaining FPVs attempted a vertical pop-up attack. Against the dark sky, they silhouetted clearly. A Russian soldier fired a shoulder-launched Egla missile. The missile airburst nearby, and the shockwave destroyed all 3 drones. 7 lost. Only 1 FPV remained. The operator abandoned the original targets and diverted to a fuel truck near the foam station. Flying inches above asphalt, under pipe racks, the drone avoided detection. It detonated against the truck, spreading burning diesel across the foam infrastructure. The system was damaged, but not destroyed. Ukraine lost 8 drones in this layer. The LNG tanks remained intact. The Mura surface vessels were now exposed, closing on a fully alerted shoreline. In Odessa, the final decision was made. At approximately 6 a.m., Russian shore defenses were firing continuously. The Ukrainian commander ordered breacher protocol. The remaining FPVs were assigned sacrificial roles. The Mura vessels accelerated to ramming speed. The final 8 FPVs launched in a tight formation directly ahead of the boats. Their purpose was not destruction, but suppression. 1 FPV executed a deliberate airburst approximately 10 meters in front of a Zu-23 position. The shockwave and flash forced the crew to take cover. Fire ceased briefly. Two FPVs dove directly into gun shields, detonating small charges. The guns were not destroyed, but the crews were suppressed for critical seconds. Simultaneously, inside the facility, a secondary failure occurred. Diesel from the earlier truck strike leaked into cable trenches beneath the control room. Fumes accumulated. A stray tracer ignited the vapors. Hydraulic control lines for emergency shutdown valves were severed. FPV drones 5 and 6 targeted the LNG loading arms. Pressurized steel pipes carrying liquefied gas at approximately minus 162 degrees Celsius. One drone was lost to small arms fire. The second struck successfully, puncturing cryogenic steel. Liquefied natural gas rapidly vaporized, expanding roughly 600 times in volume. A dense cloud formed, heavier than air, rolling across the facility. It was not yet burning, it was a massive fuel-air mixture awaiting ignition. At 6:05 a.m., the remaining Mura vessels accelerated through the vapor cloud at approximately 48 miles per hour. Visibility was zero. Operators relied on GPS. One Mura was destroyed by an RPG approximately 200 yards from shore. Another struck submerged concrete and sank. 4 remained. 2 Mura vessels detonated beneath pier supports, collapsing concrete structures and severing manifold pipes. LNG poured directly into the harbor. The final Mura targeted the electrical substation powering the pumps. It launched up the embankment and detonated directly into the infrastructure. The explosion destroyed the substation completely. Electrical arcs ignited the vapor cloud, and the resulting thermal event produced a fireball rising approximately 2.5 miles into the atmosphere. Temperatures exceeded 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Zu-23 positions were obliterated. Storage tanks overheated and ruptured sequentially, triggering boiling liquid expanding vapor explosions. Signal feeds ceased. Not due to jamming, but because the drones, boats, cameras, and harbor no longer existed in solid form. When daylight arrived, approximately 70% of the region's LNG export capacity was destroyed. Fires burned for 3 days. The economic impact extended far beyond the $650 million in direct damage. Russia lost approximately $3 million per day in export revenue. Market confidence collapsed. The Kremlin attributed the event to an electrical fault. Civilian footage contradicted the claim within hours. Ukraine had demonstrated a new capability: sea-based FPV aircraft carriers operating without traditional naval assets. The cost-exchange ratio was approximately $4.5 million, spent to destroy $650 million in infrastructure. Modern warfare is no longer about platform size. It is about integration, timing, and systems thinking. A small team, a fiber-optic cable, and plastic drones rewrote the balance of power in the Sea of Azov, and this was only the prototype.